These were once fertile lands, until weather waged war on man. The seas rose, the sun scorched the earth, and the people fled. Some remained behind.
I've learned my tomorrow, and I stand inside today. At the edge of the future, and my dreams all fade away.
Back in 2009, Codemasters published a game known as Fuel, which was developed by Asobo Studios, who are most famous for Ratatouille on the Wii.
The old lady's nap time is almost over. Get cracking and collect those apple cores before she wakes up.
My eyes can no longer feel joy.
The game takes place in a post-global warming ravaged wasteland, where people are still fighting over resources like oil.
Did I hear oil?
But when it comes to the in-game world, the highlight of it all is the absolutely gargantuan size of the map, spanning a total of approximately 5,560 square miles, which, fun fact, is roughly the same size of Connecticut. Cool. Even though the game still arguably holds the world record for largest open world, it still received average views on launch from critics and gamers alike. But why? Well, some of the recurring issues in the reviews are the game's less than stellar physics, and how a good 90% of the tracks are boring beyond belief. While I have rose-tinted glasses the size of a small country, after 3 full playthroughs within the span of a month, I have to say a decent amount of the races were a complete slog, and some of the vehicles handled like absolute trash.
I'm looking at you, street bikes!
Still, I consider this one of my favorite games, but there's one thing you're probably still wondering. Why am I calling this game Forgotten? I mean, it was published by the same guys who made the Colin McRae Dirt series and the Formula 1 games, and it was developed by the guys who would go on to make Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. But still, why is this game Forgotten? One of the biggest reasons why this game is forgotten is because, well, you can't play it anymore. And what do I mean by that? Well, this game is kinda rare. First, you can't buy it digitally anymore due to reasons, and it probably doesn't help that the game has a 4-letter common word, which is also the name of an extremely popular Metallica song, and also, you know, Fuel. Quick side note, if you search Codemasters Fuel on Google and look to the right, the most recent audience review is from someone with a Protogen profile picture. What a coincidence. Anyways, when I say you can't buy this game anymore, I mean it. There are 0 digital copies of this game anywhere on the internet. So out of options and desperate for answers, and that's how I got my hands on a copy. Seriously, I went through hell and back over the span of about 2 years to find a copy of this game. Like, I had to go to the second page of Google. That's how you know it's bad. But eventually, I was able to get my grubby little claws on the game, and oh boy, it's just like I remember. The game takes place in what was, at the time, described as a Mad Max-inspired post-apocalyptic America, which spans over almost 6,000 square miles, divided into 19 sections, taking about 3 hours to drive from end to end and about 8 hours to drive through all 19 sections. Throughout the game, you'll cycle through multiple different terrain types, whether it be forest, snow, desert, or Oklahoma. Now you might be wondering, Heiko, that's great and all, but how in the hell did they fit such a massive world into one Xbox 360 disc? And to that I would say, I have no idea. Back in 2010, Seamus Young made a great video explaining how his solo basically used black magic to squeeze 6,000 square miles into 3 gigabytes. But I don't got time to explain all that code and gobbledygook that I just straight up don't understand. So I'll just link the video in the description below. One of the problems that comes from a massive map in a video game from the late aughts that was created with basically back alley techniques is that the map is so goddamn empty! I mean, seriously, there is nothing to do. Like, yeah, it's cool, you could go and drive anywhere. 5 years before the crew would half-ass that as well. But the lack of interesting landmarks makes the world feel so dead. Wait a minute. If you want to get real big brain about it, I guess you could say that Asobo purposely made the world feel so bland to really set in that it was after the collapse of a society, and that everyone had either died or pissed off to a different planet, leaving only adrenaline junkies behind to duke it out on the sands of fallen civilization. But like, really? Were Asobo really that big brain, or were they just pushing technology at the time to its absolute limits just so they could have a Guinness World Record and a neat selling point? Obviously that selling point didn't really work, but I will praise this game on one thing. It shaped my love for ruined and destroyed landscape. It's why I love games like Fallout, The Division, and Spec Ops: The Line. But when I take off those rose-tinted glasses, God, this world is boring. Moving on to vehicles, with all these thousands of square miles to cover, how are you going to get around? Well, your options consist of ATVs, bikes, buggies, muscle cars, SUVs, paint in its purest form, and specials, with all these vehicles being split into 3 classes of road, mixed, and off-road. The special vehicles are the odd ones out, considering there are only 2, being the dragster, Democulus, and the hovercraft, Trident. Trident really being the only one of note, considering it will... Wait a minute. The hovercraft, if you drop a normal vehicle into deep water and quickly switch to the Trident, repeat switching and unpausing, and you can go underwater. What? Yeah, needless to say, the Trident opens up a lot of opportunities in the game due to it being a hovercraft, letting you traverse on water. The dragster, on the other hand, tops out at 200 miles per hour and is basically useless with the exception of blasting down one section of highway in the game. Out of the normal categories of vehicles, I'd have to say that the best are definitely the bikes, and they seem to be what the game was built on because God, they handle well. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you have trucks, SUVs, and muscle cars, which is definitely where the game's questionable handling comes into play. Like, some of these cars are straight up undrivable. Also, the design of some of the vehicles can be really good, and some can be like, well, I was gonna make a joke about how the vehicle designs can be questionable at times, but after scrolling through the vehicle list, it's actually kind of hard to find one that I genuinely hate. Forget what I said. While the vehicles are mostly okay, what about the rest of the game? Well, there really isn't any story to speak of except for that little excerpt in the opening cinematic and clues you could piece together from your surroundings. I mean, it's clear that there are still people around, but you never interact with another human being outside of watching them getting sucked into a tornado. How about the races? Well, like I said earlier, a good chunk of them are completely uninteresting. Most of the ones you've been seeing feature cool scenery, good racing, or extreme weather. But there are some races where I just wanted to put my head clean through my desk, considering the fact I played on the hardest difficulty every time. The game actually lets you create your own custom tracks by placing waypoints on the map, which is a pretty neat feature, and apparently you can make your own custom tracks online and race with a bunch of your buddies. And I'd love to show you this feature, but shit. Yeah, the online is no longer accessible nowadays, and it doesn't seem like we'll ever be seeing fan-made servers for this game. So, as of the time of recording, all online features are inaccessible. What else is there to talk about? Oh, character customization. Well, it's not actually that bad. You've got 3 different categories of head, chest, and legs, letting you choose the clothes of your character. And I gotta say, I definitely had some fun messing around with this option, even though it gives you no performance advantage whatsoever. Aside from swapping clothes around, you are able to paint your vehicles with limited options, but hey, it still could be worse. After putting this all together, I kind of realized that the game doesn't have a whole lot to offer. But is that going to stop me from recommending it? No. If you have an Xbox 360 or a PS3, you can get a used copy of this game for like $5. And if you're on PC, just forget about it. You're not getting a copy of this game. Which is why I actually want to see this game relisted on Steam. It was taken down back in 2013, only 4 years after release, so it never really got to see the light of day. But with a little TLC and reworking, this game could be thrown back online for like $20. But now that Codemasters has been acquired by Electronic Arts, I doubt we'll be seeing anything like that anytime soon.